Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me for another video. I'm your host, Sheena Loves Stories, and today we're going to be going over the books that I read in February. Sorry, I don't know. You guys can't see him, but Steve's being weird over here. He doesn't like the little dog that barks a few doors down, so he gets a little antsy. But I was surprised in February on how much we were able to read. I thought it would be a lot less than what we were. We were able to finish 4 books, and that's pretty great. The first book that we finished last month is Masquerade. This is written by Terry Pratchett, and it is a part of the Discworld series, and it is number 18 in the Discworld series. I think there's like 41 books in Discworld, and it's a pretty fantastic series. I haven't read all of the books in the series, and that's something I'm working on this year. Is I want to finish more in that series because I just enjoy it so much. I really like Terry Pratchett. I really like his humor and how he writes and how his stories are just integrated yet standalone ish in his series, and that's pretty great. This one I read physically. I checked it out from my library, and it's about 360 pages, and it is a play on the Phantom of the Opera story. So if you do not know, Discworld is broken up into sections. Like the whole series is broken up into sections. You have a section of books that are focused on the city guards. You have a section of books that are focused on the witches and the wizards and all of that type of stuff. It just kind of gets broken into these ones. There's about 6 or 7 of these sections that all of the books kind of group into. And this one, it follows the witches and is a play, like I said, on the Phantom of the Opera. And I like the Phantom of the Opera, the whole story of it and the music of it and everything. You don't get to hear the music of it, obviously, because it's a book. But it was very funny, and how it incorporated the witches into this whole story about the opera, and you still had the same story beats that you would in the story a Phantom of the Opera, but it had all of these twists on it. And it was a newer one for me, so I really enjoyed it. And I rated this a 4.75 out of 5. And it was really funny. I always laugh with Terry Pratchett books. It's always very funny. It's always keeping me interested. It never feels like I'm reading a thicker book or anything, or the story never just drags. I think a big part of that too helps or works with that is Terry Pratchett Discworld series novels. I don't know if this is in the other ones. I know in Good Omens that he wrote with Neil Gaiman. Sorry, I was like, Neil something. In Good Omens, I think there's chapter breaks, but I let somebody borrow my copy of it, and now it's gone forever, so I have to go buy another copy. But in at least the Terry Pratchett Discworld novels, there's no chapter breaks. There's like a double space, and then it just goes into the next part of the story. So you never feel like it's slowing down, which is really nice. And the second book that we read this past month was Orbital. This was written by Samantha Harvey, and I read this through an audiobook through the Libby app from my library, and it was about 5 hours and 7 minutes long. And this book, let me click on this here. I want to just read you a little bit of the descriptions for it. I like sciencey things. I like space things. There's some times where I just get really into learning more about space and about just different type of parts of different sciences. I just get really focused on learning some things about them, and I kind of surround myself with a lot of things from that. This is one of those times where I was like, you know what? I would really enjoy having a story in space, not like a horror novel. Like, I'm trying to diversify a little bit of what I'm reading, and I'm just like, not a horror novel, but I'm just gonna look for something. Just look for an audiobook, some spacey type thing. I went into the Libby app, and this one was highly rated, and it was like, praise for this book, praise for this person. And I was like, okay, why not? And the description is a slender novel of epic power, Orbital deftly snapshots one day in the lives of 6 women and men hurtling through space, not towards the moon or the vast unknown, but around our planet. And it goes into a little bit more details about that. But the last bit of it says profound, contemplative, and gorgeous. Orbital is an eloquent meditation on space and the moving elegy of our humanity, environment, and planet. So reading through this, I was like, okay, you have some things about atrophying muscles and the emptiness of space and how that affects the human psyche and the human body as a whole, and how that can reflect on our societies and how we're treating our planet and all of this type of things. This is in the future. So I was like, okay. From the way the description was, I thought it was going to be a little bit more like Interstellar, but without the whole world ending part of it. And I was like, all right, could work. Could be very interesting. The artwork for the title, the cover, was very interesting as well. And I'm like, kind of a sucker for that. So I listened to it, and I did not know this audiobook was only 5 hours. It took me days to finish it. The chapters go by orbits around the Earth. You're in the space station going around the Earth. And it's like 6 women and men, 6 men and women, 6 people are on this space station going around the Earth. And the chapters are broken up into orbits around the Earth. And because you're going one way and the Earth is rotating the other way, it's like 2 orbits around the Earth, or 3 or whatever. It kind of explains it, but it explains it in just like a throwaway thing. And at that point, I was trying really hard to listen, but it was really, really slow. For such a small book, it said almost nothing at all. And the people on the space station, I didn't know that there were different women on this space station until it specifically said that this person was talking. This person was talking. And I did have to listen to it on, I think, 1.5 speed, because the narrator did a great job, but she was speaking very slowly. She was just talking like this through the orbitals. And it was just like I understand the like ASMR type of vibe this book is giving, but however, it's just it was nothing. The women on this whole orbit station, they could have all been the same woman. There was really no defining characteristics, except I know little plot points about them that are different from the other ones. The men on the space station, 2 of them, I think there's 3. I don't know if there's 3. I know there's definitely at least 2 of them. One of them is a different nationality from the other ones, and the other one is a Christian. There was a whole part where the author put in that this guy was a Christian and he would try to spread the gospel to the other people on the space station. So they made fun of him and they avoided him and they belittled him a little bit. Like, how can you be a scientist and a Christian at the same time? And I was like, I know how. I know how you can be a scientist and a Christian at the same time. And she would throw little bits and pieces in there of how he would be kind of like, God is so great. Look at all what God did. But when we were in his little section of the book, the way that he was talking, I was like, this doesn't. Do you know Christians? It was weird. It was odd. And now that I am a Christian, I'm a little more sensitive to seeing Christians in media, because I'm like, oh, what do you think of this person? And I was like, oh, based on what this person wrote as their Christian person, you do not think very highly of Christianity. I was like, it's fine. This is a sci-fi book. You're not a Christian author. I didn't read this book to learn about Christianity or have a Christian like content or anything. But I'm just like, huh, the arguments you're making in this, which are not actual arguments, the author didn't make arguments in it, but you can, like I said, the way that they wrote this character in particular, and they gave him enough that it was memorable. Not like the women part of it where it just kind of blended into one thing, and I was like, oh, this is a different person now. I didn't know that. How long has that been going on? I don't know. But it was a little odd and it felt a little disjointed. But like I said, this book said a lot of nothing. It was very boring. Very, very boring. And I like a little science in my science fiction. And I think I've been spoiled because I read a lot of Michael Crichton novels, and I have in the past, and I read a lot of novels where there's effort into a lot of the sciencey parts of it. When they're talking about muscle and atrophy and all of these things, like, oh yes, I like hearing about that, and the bone density loss, and that happens when you're in a zero gravity space environment for an extended period of time. And even if you think about like the Big Bang Theory, Howard went to space and then he came back and he was a little bit taller because of the way that the zero gravity worked on his body, and he wanted to go to the DMV to get his ID changed so he could be taller in his ID. Like, all of these type of things are just stuff that I kind of passively pick up just with the media I'm exposed to and the other novels that I have, which talk about a lot of scientific things in their sci-fi-ness. This one did not. This one was focusing on the people and their emotions. I do not do well with people and emotions. I'm trying to be better at it, and I do feel a lot more becoming a Christian, but I'm just like, some of these situations, I was like, you just kind of need to grow up. You just kind of need to, well, why did you do that? Well, that's not a very adult thing to do. So it was a little odd. It was a little weird. It was very boring. There was a lot of lists in there. If you like lists and if you need like an ASMR type of just vibe to have, this is great for ASMR. It's kind of similar to throwing on one of those YouTube videos that are 5, 6, 8 hours long. But I rated this a 2 out of 5. It was not my jam. It was not my jam. I didn't care for the writing. I didn't care for the narrator's pace. I did not care for the non-explaining of things, like just the character emotions without characters. Because there was emotions in it. There was a lot of emotions in it, and there was random thoughts that went nowhere. But there wasn't characters. These weren't like they were caricature-y facing. Like, they appeared caricature-y, but there weren't actual characters in this book. And that's why I rated it the way I did. I didn't really enjoy it. And like I said, it took me days to finish it. 5 hours on 1.5 speed. The third book that I read in February is Slime, A Natural History. This I read physically through my library because it was in the new checkout section. So I was like, yeah. This was translated from German into English. It was by Suzanne Wedlich. And this is an interesting book. I picked it up because, like I said, it was just on one of the new arrival shelves at my local library. And like I said, read it physically, about 326 pages. And it was very interesting. It talks about the history of slime. It's broken up into several different sections. Several different sections that go over like how slime is in like the human body and how that works while the person is alive and deceased, and the history of how the biology of the slime works and interacts with your body, and how all of that interconnects. And it could be good, could be bad. And then there was like a section of slime in the environment on dry land and like swampy things, and went into different creatures, different plants, different fungi, and slime in the sea and slime in space and different slime in different sections. So she does say in the book, if you're interested in one little part of it, you can jump to that section and, just read that section and it's fine. I was interested in it as a whole. It gave me a whole list of animals that I wanted to look up, like different types of slugs, different type of jellyfish. There's sea slugs and all of these type of things that I'm like, that sounds fascinating. And last year I read, what was it called? It was something about the human body. Hold, please. Okay. The part about the slime in the human body reminded me of the book that I read last year called Stiff, The Curious Lives of Human Cadavers. And I read that actually in February of last year. So it went into that whole part, went into what I learned about the decomposition process and all of that, how that integrated and everything that I learned from Stiff. And I really enjoyed Stiff. Like, it was a very interesting read, and I just have that type of fascination with this type of biology. And so I read it and it was really good. I really enjoyed learning the different things about all of the different types of slime and mucus, because mucus is a type of slime, and where people thought it came from, how people thought it evolved, and trying to find the primordial slime that people thought they found in the 1800s that were on the seabeds. And then I'm like, I already know some things about the seabeds because I became fascinated with deep sea creatures a while back and the marine snow and how creatures get to live in an oxygenless, sunless type of environment. So reading a lot of that, I was like, it pinks stuff that I already know. And I liked looking into swamps when I was in high school because I became really fascinated with crocodiles and alligators and all types of creatures like that. So some of the stuff that I learned from there that just kind of stuck in my brain came back when she was talking about swamps and things. And I was like, that's fascinating. So I have like a whole list of things that I'm like, when I get time and the energy to just start looking these things up, I would like to look these things up. So it did give me a lot of that. And it was very interesting. It was a very interesting read. I never knew I had an interest in slime because slimy things are a little icky. So I didn't think I was gonna like this at all, but I rated this a 4 out of 5. Like I said, it was informative. It was pretty enjoyable. And the fourth book that we read in February is Men at Arms. This is the 15th book in the Discworld series, written by Terry Pratchett, and I read this physically through my library, and it's 426 pages. And this one, I've only read, I think, 1 or 2 of the Discworld series that were before this. Most of the Discworld series I've read were a little bit after this. Like, looking at my little thing, I've only read that I can remember. I've read more, but that I can remember the actual story enough to tick it off of a little checklist that I made myself. I've only read about 7 Discworld series novels, and most of those were after this one. The ones I read before this was like Equal Rights, The Color of Magic, and Reaper Man. And Reaper Man I read usually once a year. Not all the time, but usually once a year, maybe twice a year in some years, just because I really enjoy that book. It's one of my favorite books. I read that the first time, I think, when I was in high school. So many years ago. But Men at Arms is number 15. This is a city guard book, and it's like a murder mystery. What I like about the way that Terry Pratchett separates the Discworld series is you get fantasy novels, you get murder mystery novels, you get romance novels, you get all these different types of genres mushed into one universe. And it is fascinating. I like how he is able to do that and keep it all into just one universe, which is actually just one world that is a disc writing that is leveled on 4 elephants riding on top of a sea turtle just hurtling through space. Fantastic. Fantastic. But this one starts off with a murder mystery, and I knew a lot of these characters from later on in the books when reading a City Guard book in the Discworld series, because it was like, oh yeah, I know this person, but in this one I get to see how they all started off being where they were at that I've read later. I'm like, oh, okay. And especially, what was the one I read? The Fifth Elephant. Yeah, the Fifth Elephant references things that happened in this book a lot. But yeah, that's one of the things I really enjoy about Terry Pratchett, and especially in this series, is that I can pick a book at random and read it from this series and still have a self-contained story. Still have something that if I'm not familiar with this universe at all, I can still pick up, and it'll still give me enough information that I can still just enjoy this self-contained story. But when I read more of them, I get a bigger picture of this whole world and this whole universe and how things are interconnected. It's the same reason why I like the Cressley Cole Immortals After Dark series. That one's just completely different, though. Don't get them. So it's a dark fantasy romance series that I enjoy. But this one's like funny fantasy type books of it, and a lot of it is just, I really enjoy the humor. There's a lot of dry humor in it. There's a lot of wordplay. There's a lot of puns. There's so many puns. If you watch a Bob's Burgers episode and you giggle at how many puns in there are way more in this book. And the sarcastic humor in it and everything. I really enjoy the Discworld series. I have not found a Discworld novel that I have not liked. And it's really enjoyable. I rated this a 4.75 out of 5. And yeah, both Discworld novels, looking at it right now, got a 4.75 out of 5 for me. They're not my most favorite Discworld books that I've read, but they're pretty up there. They were both very hilarious, and I really enjoyed them. And there will be more of them showing up. So if I can read all of them this year, if I can find all of them, they're gone so much from the library. Like, they're just gone so much. And these are books that I would like to read physically. I don't want to read them digitally, but I might have to. We'll see. I'm really enjoying them. And if I can get them all done, then I can do like a whole ranking to see which ones I like better. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I hope you guys had a really good February reading month, and that your March is going pretty well as well. I've already started reading from, what's today? Oh, yeah. It's almost mid-March. At time of recording, it's March 11th today. So I've finished a couple of books, and I thought it was really great that I finished a couple of books, and then I saw it was almost mid-month, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm slacking a little bit, but that's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I hope you guys are having a great March reading month. If you guys have a book that you've read this past February that you're currently reading that you want to share, then definitely leave it in the comments below. I'm always looking for more books to read. And I found out there's a couple of readers at my station. So that's really great. I would like to suggest books to them as well. So if you have that, leave it in the comments. Don't forget to do all of the YouTube things, like, subscribe, all of that. And I will hopefully talk to you guys soon. Bye.